right, welcome back to the Evolution podcast with Mac and Jenn. It is Jenn here and Mac. Hi.
Like,
And today we're going to share with you the story of us, right?
yeah, we're just going to go over some of the pieces. Obviously, I don't think we'll be able to get through
All
all
of
of it,
it. Because
but
we're not going to be here forever.
yeah, but we just wanted to kind of, share some of the things that we've kind of been through, where we started, how we met, different steps along the way, some kind of out of the box type of things that we've done, and what led us to here today, to be happy, married at a level that we've never really experienced before, and growing inside of that. So um yeah, I'm not even sure where to actually start, other than, I mean, we could, you want to start like with a little bit of a backstory, or just kind of start like when we first like laid eyes on each other, and then kind of maybe catch up backstories in there?
I don't know.
I say we just go from like the first time we laid eyes on each other, if we can remember. It's kind of been a while.
Okay.
So surprisingly enough, we kind of saw each other online on a dating app, and I believe that I saw her picture or profile first, and like just liked it, like to where we were connected in that way. But I don't think I responded. I think I had just liked it, and I hadn't responded. And then after a week or something, week or two, she replied back and said, I think we might it might be a good idea that we connect or something. Do you remember?
Okay, so I was active on Hinge,
Mhm.
more active on Hinge. All my dates were coming from Hinge. And Mac was on Facebook dating.
Mhm.
And I was on Facebook dating just because Facebook, I guess, recommended it to me. I filled out a little profile and there I was. But I never looked at Facebook dating because every time I looked, I mean, it was like a million likes. And I would look at these guys and it was just like, I mean, a lot of not so great looking, not so great things. There was just so much. I don't know why it was a little different than the selection it felt like on Hinge. Hinge felt a little better. But anyways, um, one night it was about 1 a.m. and I was laying in bed and I was bored. And I was like, noticed lots of notifications on Facebook dating. And so I thought, after weeks of not opening it, I was like, I'm going to open this and see what's up. Even if I just am scrolling through and looking, right? I open it up, and the first like that I opened up was that night was you.
The first one.
I think it was the first one.
Okay.
Like, you showed up. It was you. And I was like, huh, this guy looks interesting and he looks like somebody I should know. So, and I looked at your profile, and like let's just say like you were handsome, tall, a little taller than what I was, envisioning, but handsome, tall. You could tell you had a growth mindset. Just you looked great. And so you liked me, and I messaged you back, and I think I said something like, you look like somebody I think I should know. And that
Yeah.
was it.
Yeah, something and obviously when I saw her profile to start with, one of the things that there was like certain things, you can scroll through there and you can look for physical attraction, which there should be some, but I'm always looking for more. And that, like, she had said something about having like a growth mindset is a must. One of the places she studied was like a coaching program, so it's like, okay, she's like, personal development is a thing, so that's a good start. And the eyes, her eyes are very pure. I can weed people out pretty quickly just by how their eyes appear, and be pretty dang accurate with what I'm doing. So obviously there was the physical attraction, like beautiful smile, amazing eyes, and looked good overall. And then the growth mindset was like, okay, this, whatever. Typically I would have reached out and responded right away, but there was honestly a lot of conversations that I was having, and so I didn't want to get too many going at the same time. And so I was kind of working through like eliminating, going through whatever. And I was on Facebook because I recently separated. And when you put single on your account, then Facebook reminds you, hey, fill out your profile. So it's like, well, okay, guess I will. Um, I recommend to like all of my clients that they at least do something to kind of put them out there to test, to figure things out, to evolve themselves inside of the dating world, not necessarily to jump into something, but just be out there, like have fun with it, make friends, do whatever you can, but don't get attached. And if you're in an emotional if you yourself are emotional disaster, then don't get in a relationship. But you can still date. Like you can still go to lunch, you can still go to coffee, but don't get in unless you're healed yourself. Um, I'm pretty good at what I do. I've been through a lot of stuff, pretty healed, but still like on the edges of like I'm still dealing with some stuff. And so I got on there. I was like, it can't hurt to start conversations. It can't hurt to make friendships, to build on something and go from there. And just got to be honest about it. And so I was like, screw it. So I got on there and it was fun. It was entertaining. It was fun. There were conversations. It was often a good solution for those nights when you're at home and you had a family before and now you don't. And you're feeling that void a little bit, slight bit of sedation with it, but fun and entertaining at the same time. And so that's kind of where I was at the time. And then I remembered her very clearly. And then she sends me this message, hey, it looks like we should know each other. And I was like, that's a pretty good message. Like she's not like she's got to be pretty secure with herself to send that message versus anything else. Right. Like there's like right in there. I'm good at what I do, so I can read between the lines very well. And I was like, she's got confidence. So now there's another win. So so I saw it, I think probably pretty quick because that's the only dating app I was using. And so I replied and then she didn't respond. Now, for a lot of people, they'd be like, oh, and have all these stories. And I was just like, it is what it is. Besides that, I have these other conversations going on that I'm trying to kind of figure out. So if she doesn't, or it takes a few days, I'm fine with it, whatever. And I think eventually, after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, I replied again.
So Mac messaged me. So he likes me. Yep. Then I message him, and he messages me back, and then I ghost him for a week and a half.
Yeah, but for me, like it doesn't bother me because it's like I could see myself doing that, right? Like I could get busy, whatever. And maybe she's got another date. I'm talking to other guys or gals. Maybe she's talking to other guys, and so I'm like, well, maybe she's got something that like she could have sent the message and then like at the same night had another conversation with another guy and then decided to go on a date with him. Right. Like, I mean, I don't know, but that's a possibility. Right. And so maybe she's letting that play out, but I don't know anything. I still also want to know her, even if it is just on a friendly basis. I don't really need a relationship, but I still feel like she would be a cool person to know, that even as a friend. So I'm just neutral on it, and I reach back out, and it was something to the point of like, hey, were you still interested in connecting? Just a neutral statement. And I think not long, I might have sent that, and then like the next night there was still nothing, so I threw down some question marks to like bump it, to just be like, I don't know,
like knock knock knock.
Yeah, like
there?
yeah, it's pretty easy to like get lost and like and so I'm very understanding of that. And after seeing how she runs her like messages on Facebook and everything, I'm like, I can see how people get lost. It's chaotic. So
and that's really what happened is that when Mac messaged me back, I just wasn't really checking the Facebook dating very often. And so it's like I messaged him, I reached out, and then I kind of like put it down and didn't look at it again because I was busy and doing other things. And then when I finally saw his messages, I was like, Yes. Yes, I do want to meet up. I do.
Yeah,
Or whatever.
which I think was some divine timing in itself, because I think there were some other things happening with like other dates that I had that had concluded, and kind of revealed what they weren't. And so it was like everything works out.
So I messaged him back, and then so we are actually now connected on Messenger or whatever. And we didn't go on a date right away. We got on the phone first.
Mhm. Yeah, I think pretty quick you just went like, hey, I don't really check this that much. Here's my here's my messenger thing.
I don't check this that much, or I gave you my number. I don't remember. We
Probably,
moved
yeah,
right to text
yeah, pretty
message.
quick right away.
Hmm.
So that was interesting. And then we jumped on the phone and we started talking, and this was pretty funny. I think right away was the conversation when I was like, what are your goals? Right. And we were having friendly conversation. We were kind of figuring out like how close we were, which we were like 15 minutes from each other, surprisingly. And then we started to figure out that we knew a lot of the same people, but I don't think that came first. I think I had asked you about the goals and stuff first. And so I was like, what do you do? What's this? Getting some basic information. And she starts talking about personal development. So I'm like, okay, well, I can go there. Right. Because a lot of times when I'm like, well, what do you want out of life? What's this? Like, I just would hear these stories of like, well, I don't need a lot. I just need to be this. And like women are out there like almost prostituting themselves of like, hey, I've got a good job. I've got this. I've got that. I've like they're trying to sell me on them like they're like it's an auction block. And I'm just like you're amazing, but your confidence is seriously lacking here. Like you should not be the one presenting yourself to a man this way. Like he should be asking and figuring it out and being and showing up as a man. Like, so but where she said growth mindset, and I'm like, okay. So what, and somewhere in there led to so what are some of your bigger goals? What do you really want to go after? And she says to me, she goes, she kind of chuckles a little bit, a little giggle. And I'm like, what? And she says, well, honestly, I feel like my small goals are probably bigger than your big goals. And I'm like, oh shit. So she's either an arrogant bitch or she's gonna like actually be on point here. And so I was like, because it could be either or, because it was a little bit of a very arrogant statement, but I was kind of entertained by it because I was like, okay, like game on. Like and I'm thinking to myself, if her goals exceed mine, like I better step the fuck up, like in a very big way. And and so I kind of shifted gears for a second, and I went, okay, like really. I was like, well, and I can't remember how it went, but very quickly I went into, well, this is what I want to do. And I just like laid it out, like just slammed it down, shut the fucking door, like this is that. And she's going, oh, okay. like
Mhm.
like maybe not. Maybe it might be a little bit the other way. And so like in that moment, her eyes were opened a little bit to like this guy's not playing around. Like there's definitely more here than what I expected. And I felt her respect that. And so it was like a little bit playful and fun. I was entertained by it. I appreciated the confidence in it that was required to do that.
I think it was one of the things for me was I was used to like meeting guys that again didn't have a lot. It didn't seem like they were very driven with big goals and stuff like that. And the truth is like I want to be a cheerleader for my man. And so with because of that, I need a man with big goals. And big dreams and going after big things so I can stay excited and cheer him on, right? And so if you're not doing anything, I don't really want to be with you. And so I think that, and I noticed a lot of the guys didn't have that they weren't in that space because I mean I too was used to seeing the guys at like the pony events who just really wanted more out of life, right?
Mhm.
And so when I said that, I guess it was a little arrogant, but it was also me kind of playing with you, but also like a little bit
Yeah.
serious, but like kind of hoping like your goals were really big. Like, and
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah. It was, I mean, it was the right thing in the moment.
It was really funny.
Yeah. So, but it is a little little bit fun to talk about. Like I feel like my small goals are bigger than your big goals. And I'm
He's like,
just
what?
like, okay, let's game on. Let's see what happens,
It's really funny that I said that to you before even like really even knowing you.
Mhm.
Like,
Like it was really, really quick into it. And then I think right after that, the conversation kind of sat in right there. It was like, okay, we can talk, right? Not only can we talk, but we can be friends.
mhm.
Like it was kind of just this weird icebreaker moment where it was like, okay, so then we got on the level of like who's who, what's what, and then we start learning that like we've both been in the same network marketing company, and we know some of the same people. Like there's two top earners in our area, like they're like the top of the company, and she came in with one and I came in with the other, and so we're already connected, but there's some kind of stuff there. But there was a guy that was in my, like, I actually did a church group, I taught one, and there was a guy in my group that I taught that would save her seats every week at church. And she starts talking about this guy. Oh, well, I go to this church. I'm like, really? Like, I go to that church too. Like, and she's like, well, I kind of sit by this guy that, and I'm like, is his name this? And she's like, how do you know him? It's like, actually, I know him very well. And so all of a sudden it goes from like random person to like, we're literally crossing paths weekly, and just kind of crazy. And in well, let's back up to go to, so what was it, a week? Within a week of that, I think we sat down for lunch.
Yep. We decided to meet for lunch.
Yeah. And so I just said, is there somewhere you want to go? Because it's kind of a weird thing of like, I want her to be the most comfortable. Kind of like, is there a place where you feel comfortable going? So I can't remember how it works, but I was always aware of being able to go, okay, I'm this gigantic dude, type of thing. And there's these women. And so like, what's going to get them in their most natural environment so I can see who they are? Like, we don't drink, so we're not going to do that. That would be like, honestly, if you're dating and you're meeting at bars, you're an idiot. Like, don't do that. Like, you're setting yourself up for immediate failure with that, because you're going to go nervous, you're going to get drinking, and then you're going to start having sex, and now you're in what's called an intimate relationship, and you have no idea who the other person is. Okay, like you need to figure out who first. But anyway, I digress. It's about us not teaching, even though there's like lessons, like there's like dating lessons, coaching lessons, like all this stuff in it. But anyway, so we go to lunch and she sees me, and she's just done. She's like ready to marry me right there. No, I'm just kidding.
Where do I sign? Where do I sign? I'm ready.
Yeah, so it's like game over, I win. No, I'm just I'm just joking. But so we decide to sit down. We go to a little place not far from her, kind of in the middle, really. And I was like, okay, this is a good thing. So we sit down and we had a good conversation. And you know, at that point in time, I wanted to know more, but I spent more time of just making sure she knew where I was, like from the conversations and everything else, wanting to know about her, giving her a lot of attention, but at the same time going, look, like, I need you to understand that I am, at this point, I think I was 6 weeks out of separation. And so it's very early on. I'm still, like working through it. Everything was good. Once the decision was made, it was the decision, and that was that. I was moving on, but still a lot of emotional stuff, and a serious amount of financial disaster happening that was causing massive amounts of anxiety. Basically exposed all my errors of like, yep, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Like, these are things like I don't want anything that could come out later. I want on the table right now. I believe you're the type of person that can handle it, think about it, think through it. And so I'm just going to put it on the table right now and see if it's a deal breaker or not, because there's no point in either one of us wasting time. Because even if one of the things who I am is a deal breaker, I still felt like we could probably be friends, right? And get along and support each other, and whatever that might look like. And that was also one of my rules. I was like, I'm looking for a friendship first. Now it might escalate past that quickly, which it did, but it was kind of like, no, like I want to know that if this doesn't work out, we're not like that we can still get along. right? Like it doesn't need to be weird. And I saw her show up almost in the same way that I did. And so that was like, I kind of left that being like kind of questioning, because I'm like new to this thing again after 10 years, it's like, shit, what do I do? I'm still learning how to date again. And so I'm questioning a lot of things, but I'm also going, huh, like, could it happen this fast? So there was like all this mixture of things that I had. So I'm gonna turn over to you for a second and see what's your side.
I don't know what to say or where to start from here, but
Wherever.
yeah, no, I love everything that you're saying. I'm just thinking like, um,
So the conversation, like we're on the phone, we talk about the dream thing.
mhm.
Where was your like kind of where was your evolution in this personally for just you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just getting to know you. I was liking the way that you were showing up and the things you were saying, and um it just really you as a person and the way I was feeling every time we talked, and everything was aligning with what I wanted and how I wanted to feel with somebody, even though it wasn't like we didn't jump into a relationship right away. Like we were growing together, and you were just very certain and we were having fun, and it was more for me, the mindset was um I don't know where this is going, but I'm just really enjoying where we're at, so I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
And I feel like when when I said at the beginning, like the first message, you look like somebody I should, or you seem like somebody I should know. It was like I still feel like you still seem like somebody I should know. And it's just you kept showing up your way, and I kept showing up my way, and it's like we kept seeming like we should know each other and keep knowing each other, and I think we just continue to keep getting to know each other, and that's why our relationship just keeps growing more and more. But um there would like I don't know. I just every like I appreciated you coming and telling me everything about, laying everything out in front of me to kind of let me discern how I felt about things. But but I mean, all that, I appreciated the honesty. I appreciated your certainty. It's like you knew what you were doing, but you were still figuring out what you were doing, right?
Mhm.
And so I appreciated that you like you, all of it, the discipline you showed up in, all of it, and like you you showed up in a way of a man that I can respect.
Mm.
And that was important to me. So, with all of that, plus, you just being you, we were growing together, having fun. You were still giving me like a sense of like certainty, and it just hasn't stopped. So,
So when we went to lunch, right? And after you left the lunch, right? Like like we'd met, we'd gone there, we spoke, we saw each other physically. And all those things included, like leaving that, where did you find yourself?
I don't really remember exactly what happened after lunch, but I'm pretty sure it looked like a phone call to my mom. And I was probably like, this one is different.
Mm.
And I'm excited about this one, but it was more like, it was like, I saw you and I was still not, still a little like, I don't know, like, who is this guy? But I definitely wanted to continue to just like know more. And the more I hung out with you, the more we talked, and the more I saw you, like I said, you just kept showing up. And I was like, and so I kept showing up. And it was like, I don't know where this is going, but I love what's happening now. I love the growth I'm experiencing. I love who I am, who I'm becoming when I'm with you. And like, and that's why I kept showing up.
Yeah. So I don't remember what exactly, like how it took place after that, but there was like a moment for me not long after that where um well, let me let me preface this. Like the crazy stuff that we did, we've talked about on other podcasts, but one of the things that I came in with, not the first time, but after we like hung out, like I think you came over, watched a movie or something, maybe
Yeah, we did that.
something. And I told her, I said, okay, so this is how I date. I try to have fun. I try to get to know you. You know, we can go out, we can do this, we can do that. But there's two things that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to kiss you, and I'm not going to fuck you. It just is what it is. Because once it goes past that, it changes how things are going to happen. And I am fresh out of separation. I don't know what I want. I got to make sure that I'm healed emotionally to be able to move forward. And moving too quick on this could cause more problems than not. So let's work more on the friendship piece of it and see what this evolves into. Obviously, as I'm saying this, I'm also understanding that like she could be going out and dating other guys, right? Like but that's not my that is like I can't control that, so I don't talk about that. It just is what it is. And at the same time, I'm telling her I'm still talking to a lot of women. It just is because I'm trying to figure things out. Like I'm 6 weeks in, this is already happening. I don't I don't know if I don't keep doing what I need to do and kind of being led by something inside of me saying like, not yet. You need to make sure you're where you need to be before you start committing inside of a relationship. And she respected it, like it did not easily. I don't think it's ever really the easiest thing to do, especially when she had been out in the world for 2 years at least, right? A couple of years dating and then seeing something that seems like it fits and having to have the patience to be like, maybe he'll figure it out, right?
Yeah, well, the thing for me, it's like I knew what I wanted. I had a really great idea. I knew how I wanted to feel, and I was getting that with you. Um, but also knowing like I don't want to be with anybody that doesn't choose me.
Mm.
Like I want to be chosen. And where you were at, like, I mean, the I felt like I wasn't gonna force you to choose me. Like I wanted you to like have your experiences and meet people, and like I wanted like if you were gonna choose me, like I wanted to know like you were choosing me. And so I didn't wasn't trying to force anything, but knowing that like if you were to date somebody else and want to go pursue, more with them, or if you stopped, showing up for me, then we would be in a different place right now. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't be together because I don't want to force anything. So, like, because you were dating other people, sure, but you were still, you know, I still felt like I was
Very
getting,
interested.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I was learning about you and enjoying what we had going on, but also not attaching to this like this he has to pick me, he has to pick me or whatever, because it was like I was just really happy with what was happening. I mean, I really was. And so I don't know if that makes sense, but it was like um just just
You just kept yourself centered.
yeah, yeah. And if I wasn't feeling good, I would have exited myself,
Right.
So it was like Like you were, even though you were still talking to other people, it was all fresh. I wanted to be chosen. You were still giving me certainty. We were still having fun. I was still learning a lot from you. Like there was a reason we were brought together. Like you still were, making me feel really special. Like everything I wanted, you were giving me. And I wasn't attaching to getting married to you right then, but I was like, I'm going to keep my energy here for a while because I'm enjoying this. And so there was still, other messages and stuff, but most of my energy was going to you because I only have so much to give.
Yeah.
So but I wasn't going, if you had said to me, "Hey, look, Jen, like I really enjoyed my time with you, but Sally over here, she's, perfect for me, so I'm gonna give Sally more of my energy." I would have been like, "Oh, that's kind of a bummer, but okay, like I guess I'll continue on my journey."
Yeah. Well, and there's, it was really interesting because there's like so many things that were going through my mind during that time. And, like I'd kind of had a little bit of a type of connection with a few other women before her. And one of them was like kind of intense. And one day I just felt like, no, I just like, it was like to me, I would say that like God just kind of let me know, like, hey, you've like, this was your step, you're done, walk away. And I was like, but I'd communicated the same thing. It was like, hey, I want to take this, I want to go into friendship if it doesn't work out, or if I decide like I'd like to maintain a friendship or whatever. And I attempted that, and like instantly, as soon as I put the I don't think we need to move forward here, it like got crazy and therefore exposed where the problem was going to be anyway. So it was like, okay, I made the right decision immediately. And a few others like that stuff began to happen. And it was almost like sometimes God would have his hand in it of just being like, okay, this helped you to get to here, now you're moving on. And so kind of there were things where to me, like as just like my human self type thing, it didn't make sense, but sometimes I'd feel something and I would just move and just do it. And so my I was a little bit struggling because I'm at this point a 40-plus-year-old guy that actually has his emotional shit intact mostly, and like life, and can figure anything out and do whatever. And so I was pretty much a hot commodity, like, to be honest. Like there's not very many men just capable of showing up like me, if really any, in a certain area, that are single and ready, and just it's not. So it was challenging because I'm like, well, I've got a lot of options here. It's like, do I do this or do I do that? Like, I don't know. And so I'm second guessing, trying to figure it out. And I was like, I know that once I make the decision, I need to make the decision, but I need to make sure I'm very honest with her. And if she's the one, then she'll actually respect it. Right. Like and so I just had to trust that this is how it was going to work. But there was one time we came over to watch a movie, and we're sitting there, and she like all of a sudden just curls up like almost in my lap. And I was like the feeling that I got was just so like I could not explain it. And like her trusting me in that moment and being vulnerable to me in that moment, and like curling up next to me, it was pretty mind blowing. And I think that right there really kept me paying attention, even though I wasn't ready in that moment. It like really made me pay attention. And then I remember one time we were at church, and I'm like so full of anxiety, like I was probably full blown depression and denying it, with everything that was going on. And just her leg touching my leg like changed my energy. And I was like, this is strange. This is weird. And then there was a little disruption. I just want to speak this out of like to give her credibility of how she showed up. Where I left, I was at an event, I met somebody else. It was a very cool, very in its own way, very good interaction with somebody else. It got a little bit intimate, and I basically came back and I told her about it. Like, that's something that most people don't do, and it's not comfortable. Like it did in effect kind of hurt, because like there's all these things happening, and now it's like, hey, there's this other girl, like whatever. No matter what you think, like that is a disruption. It's a very heavy one, and I don't want to. I didn't really want to talk about it, but I was like, if this ever comes out later, it will be a massive problem. just talk about it. Like if she's the one, you can't stop it. Like God has his hand in it. If she's the one, you can't stop it. And a little bit of me was like, I don't know, like she's amazing, you're amazing, like, but I just told her at the end of it, I said, I don't feel like I'm supposed to go after her. I feel like we're not done. And then I left and I let her sit on it to see where she wanted to stand in that. I will say there is this right here is the reason why the don't fuck and don't kiss paid off 100%. Because had I kissed her and even been somewhat remotely intimate with another woman, she'd have been done. Right. I think she would have. Now, if I'd have kissed her and the other one, probably almost definitely. So it's just like, but because it was like clear that this is like dating. This is not a relationship. This is dating, which is discovery. Okay. One of the things about that also really, really forced me to discern what I was doing. Because it's like, that's good. This is good. What am I doing? Right. In that, she knows that when I choose her, she knows she's the chosen. Right. It's kind of hard to think that way because nobody wants to be in that position. But the reality is when you really look at it, and like I have all these options open to me. Like, and not only that, but just my skill level of being able to communicate with women. Like I can go take what I want if I wanted to. Like that's the reality of it. But that's not how I operate. I operate in the conversation that I have with God. That's saying, I got clear from day one. Like my relationship ended within 48 hours. I was in a notepad and a piece of paper and coming to the conclusion of I want a woman that closes my eyes to everything else. That was one of the things I wanted. I want somebody that brings out that last 10% of me that will never come out because God took a piece of Adam and made Eve, and I want my Eve because I am not whole without her. Like my 100% will never be the 100% that the two of us together can create. Like that is a God gift, not a man gift. Okay, like that's what I want. So that's kind of what I kind of came apart with all my shit and everything else. I didn't know how it was going to show up. I just knew I could get it. And I had no idea that when I was talking about what was going to close my eyes to everything else would be the level of like her vulnerability and everything else and openness and communication and willingness and all these things that like pulls from me wanting to spoil her, wanting to be for her, wanting to like take care of her, wanting to be her man, like all these things that like it's driving me. But I'm like, there's no woman I've ever seen on the planet that touches you. Like not even close. And so that's what began to happen after that was I was like, I just feel like there's something here, even though my mind is still like, I'm still talking to other women. I'm still doing this. I'm kind of all over the place. She keeps showing up. Now, part of me wanted to be like, is she weak for showing up? Like, what kind of woman would put up with this? Is she weak? But I'm like, no, I don't think that's it. Luckily, I'm listening to like the part that I would say God is guiding and not just what the world would be saying. Okay. And I'm like, well, what about this? Well, what about this? And I'm challenging my worldly beliefs and then these other ones and just kind of at the same time wondering why she's still here, type of thing. But very quickly realizing that every person that I talked to, every woman after the one little incident I was very fast to be like, no, like she doesn't compare to her. No, she doesn't compare to her. No, she doesn't compare to her. And it's just like, I'm just throwing like still being friendly and trying to help them if I could, or give them advice or whatever, or lift them up in whatever way possible. Still open to being friends if possible, like create friendships. And that was even like, I was like, hey, like there's some, like I'm dating somebody else, kind of like not in a relationship, but we interact. And so what I'm looking for is to build friendships. And if it turns into a relationship, great. If not, I wouldn't mind maintaining a friendship. There's no reason why I don't think we can pull this off. Yeah, not a single one of these other women could pull this off. Not a single one. They basically look at me, and if I wasn't theirs, they were done. It's like, and that's why you're not qualified. Whereas she's over here going like, no, I take care of me. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's hot. Like you don't like a lot of guys don't comprehend this piece of it. And so it was about 4 months, I think about 4 months in at that point, I was like, all right, this is not like, I need to know more. I'm ready to commit. And I stepped into a full on relationship with her. So back up. I've spoken most of this. Let me, speak your side of it.
That was really good. Yep. I feel like I feel like during that whole time, like I never really felt like I was competing with any other women for your attention or anything. It just always felt so like natural. And um if you again, if I wasn't feeling the way I wanted to feel, I would have moved on very quickly. So it just, even though didn't know, you knew what you wanted, but you didn't know what you wanted, but you knew what you were
I didn't
doing,
know how to identify what I wanted.
but you knew what you were doing, and just the way you were showing up in that, I just respected you a lot. And I was enjoying my time with you, and that was pretty much it. And I was just committed to just being myself.
Yeah, that was, one thing I noticed very early. Um, there were, because before you, there were people I hung out with, and I didn't bring them around everybody else. But you, almost instantly, I was comfortable bringing you around everybody else
Hmm.
with confidence that even if we didn't work out, we would still like probably be friends.
Hmm.
So that was, anyway. I just wanted to
Yeah,
thought of that.
and even with when you were out of town with the other girl, like, and you told me about it, like that did sting a little bit because I was like, ooh, that sucks.
Mhm.
But but because you did kind of, lay out the where you were at, like, I didn't really feel like I had like I knew you were dating other people. I knew you were talking to other people. It wasn't really, I didn't feel like you cheated on me. I just felt like, ooh, like that it stung because I was like, man, like I'm really enjoying my time with this guy, but if he doesn't want to spend more time with me, like I'm gonna, have to move on or whatever, which would have been okay.
Yeah.
Because I also say, if not this, something better and more aligned is coming. And so it stung in that way, but I'm also, grateful and happy because like I do feel chosen.
Yeah.
um and it's like, you know I would have preferred you not to do that, and preferred all of that. And but it's like, if that needed to happen in order for you to know more of what you wanted, like I'm grateful that it happened. um
I think there's a piece in there too that just like it also showed just how willing I was to be honest,
mhm.
and actually gives a level of certainty to that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean, there was just so much about you I was just loving and enjoying, and it was like, I'm just gonna, as long as I'm happy, like as long as I'm happy, I'm feeling good, I want to be here, I'm gonna keep showing up. And if he keeps showing up, I'm just gonna keep going with this because I'm happy and enjoying what's happening here. I'm enjoying this journey. I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying the learning and the growth. And without really attaching to an outcome of what was going to happen. I'm so happy that we are where we are. Like I love
Yeah.
being married to you and being your wife, and it's so great. But it's like, um I think the difference between maybe perhaps me and a lot of the other women was that, like, I wasn't attaching to any like sort of outcome with you. I was just I was just like really enjoying what was happening in the moments, even the growth and
Yeah.
the hard things, because it was like how can we grow from this? And you were open to the
Well, and you know, you stuck by me when everything was getting ripped apart. Like, you know, I had this life and lifestyle and everything. And with what was happening with the divorce, it like started to, like, everything crumbled, and had to give up a lot of stuff and do things different, and then wind up going and working out of town quite a bit. And you just kept showing up, kept showing up. And even by you, like, not losing it because, like, I dated or was talking to other people or whatever, it, you know, my previous relationship, there was a lot of jealousy, like insecurity and jealousy. And so that kind of showed that it was like, okay, like, we're just going to be people, and we're going to be honest, and we're going to move and figure it out. And like, nothing wrong was done. It just, but it doesn't change kind of certain things. And it also, you know, like with the as time went, and then the smoking thing, when that came out, it was like I was more than willing to give grace over, because, you know, like, getting that out of the way. Because it was like, hey, I'm not perfect either. It's like, let's just, like, as long as we can work through things and just keep moving and growing, and then it's a blessing. And the more and more time went by, the more I started kind of figuring out more about you, who you were, just how much work you put in to get to the place to be that stable. Because a lot of times you like, you didn't just come out and tell me, yeah, this is what I've done, this is who I am, everything else. I'm seeing you show up consistently across the board, and then learning all this stuff and knowing how you showed up, and also being in this world, understanding just how, just the amount of strength and integrity was required to do that, and being like, holy shit, like, I did not see that. I could not fully see you in that. But thank God that he just kind of kept saying, just keep moving, just keep going, just, and trusting that, and believing that there's this feeling that was happening in me that was like, no, you need to keep going. Like, no, you don't need to go figure out, like, is there some other thing I need to figure out, or is there another woman, is this too fast, like all the stories in my head that were going through my head. It was like, no, just stay on point, just. And there's one story that would repeat in my mind that was like, um I was a little concerned that I was staying in because I needed emotional support, right? Like, because I just went through all this craziness, and that I was choosing to stay in just because I was like hanging on and didn't want to lose it. And so I was kind of battling that back and forth. And I was like, am I just staying here because of this, or what? But it was, once I just opened my eyes to really seeing who she was, then it was like, oh, now I see why I'm still here. Right. So there were plenty of um ups and downs and different things with it. But once we decided to be together, then it was like pretty much things moved from there. Then you want to add in the middle of all that?
I don't know. It's good. I like it.
You think we should make a part two, or just wrap this up?
I don't know. I think we should probably just wrap this up. This first part. I mean, there's gonna be many parts, I think, of our journey.
Well, we could say we could stop here and end it at the relationship piece, and then tell from here on in another one.
Sure, we can do another
Yeah,
one
let's
where
do
we
that,
can
because
tell
there's some other,
more, but
yeah, some other crazy stuff that I decided to pull out of the bag before we got married.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good story.
yeah. So maybe we'll get into that as we on the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, backing up a little bit, you know, getting into personal development, deciding that we could have what we wanted, and then going after it and chasing it. And then at the same time, both of us were very intentional about saying, who must I be to get them? Right. And so for her, it was like being like, she wanted to be led, so she started being led. She started creating that space. She became a woman of integrity, and a ton of emotional strength to be vulnerable, and to understand pain. right? Like and not run from pain, but understand it's like this glorious thing that helps you and gives you strength and energy and these different things. And same for me, it's like I lost everything. I realized that the pain was a beautiful thing, that it helped me change, helped me become a better man, and that my previous relationship was all about me fixing all of my problems that I kind of like didn't, kind of was like, God, I don't know what to do here, and quit drinking, quit smoking, quit, like ditch the porn and masturbation addiction, which she wouldn't have put up with. Like if I was still addicted to that stuff, she'd have been like, like maybe, you maybe go figure out your shit. But it just so happens that in my past relationship, all these things got fixed and I became who I wanted to be. And then just as fast as I really got it to the final point of execution of like, this is who I am, that relationship ended. 6 weeks later, she enters my life. Coincidence? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I'm on this growth journey myself, and like you continue to like show up, challenge me, push me, like and just everything is just, to me, open doors, things are aligned. It's like I'm just appreciating everything and loving the journey and the process and all of it. So
yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff too. Like things that are happening even today, from the time from this, like where we called it a relationship when we went full in to learn more about each other, to like then how things began to happen to us coming together, to Cameron, kind of what's happening there, to like the Tonys, to all that stuff. So it'll be fun to talk about that, but we'll just cut it here. I don't know how long it's been, but yeah, just always know where you want to go, get clear on where you want to go, sit with it, get calm. In relationships, your ability to have calmness is going to indicate whether or not you're on the right path or not. If you become too needy or erratic or irrational, those things, you need to work on you.
I think for me it was too like I didn't need you to choose me in order for me to know that I'm amazing.
Right.
And so, that's why it was like when you were doing other things, it was like, yeah, it stings a little bit, but if he does not choosing me, that just means that we're not supposed to be together. Yeah. And so like it would have been okay.
But we're loving the experience.
Am I grateful that he did choose me? Yes.
I'm like super grateful that you were just you.
Yeah. And that's what I was doing, was just showing up as me and living my life and doing what I wanted to do, and you just kept,
that just was me too.
you were just showing up too. So I was like, okay.
Thing, and that's why we're a year and a half in, and it's like it just gets better every day.
And that's why it's been, you use the words consistent, but like it's consistent because like I'm just being me and you're just being you, and we're just,
man, it's like magic how we fit.
yeah, I'm not trying to be anybody to win you. I'm not trying to manipulate to get you, right?
Well, so we got to mention this piece because there's certain things that I do that I think would drive a lot of women crazy, right? She loves it. It's like to me, I'm like, oh well, that's good, and that's how it just keeps happening. It's just the more that I am me, the more she appreciates it. And not that she's just like deeply, madly in love with me or anything, but it's like, no, she genuinely likes these things that are unique to me. And that's one of the things that helps me know that like she's my Eve, right? Like God built her or me for us, whatever. But then also, like the conversation about like Facebook, right? Like how people would attack you for spending time on Facebook. And doing that, and I'm like oh, you're online all the time, and I'm like, well, that's your business, like, and I actually support you in it fully, like you do this, and like your feminine side, how I'm like, no, like you do that, like you, and so who she naturally is, I'm protective of, not telling her she needs to do something different or thinking that she needs to do something different or whatever. It's like and that's how we show up for each other, is like we just keep showing up in this way that is like, how could this be so perfectly fit? And what's weird is if we start to think the other person is thinking something, and we start to feel like shit, once we just go, no, I'm just going to be me, it's like the other person honors it. It's like, oh, thank God. You know.
Yeah, well, I think that's some really like intentional thinking too, because it's like if you do something, or I like to say use the word show up. I don't know if that is triggering to some people me, but if you show up in a certain way, and it's a way that I'm kind of like, I there's things where I'm like, okay, this is who he is. Can I, appreciate and love this forever, or is this going to become a problem? And like really like it, because if it's who I don't want to have to try to change him to be who I want him to be. I want to love you for all that you are and all that you do.
Yeah.
And so, certain things I was like, well, not certain things, maybe like one or two things, but I was like, can I like be okay with this forever? And then I was like, yes, yes, I can. I can. Which means that if it shows up again, 2, 3 years down the road, I will have to find appreciation in what you do rather than any kind of judgment, because I don't want things to come up that I don't want to have to try to change anybody to fit who I think you should be. Like I want to love you for all of you.
Yeah, and same thing. Like, 'cause there's a few little things that are like, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily the right thing, but when I look at how you do it, I'm like, it's the right thing for her, and I
Mhm.
honor it. You know, it's
Mhm.
like, no, it actually makes sense. Like if you asked me beforehand, I would have been like, oh no, it needs to be like boom, boom, boom. But then I see her and how what it does for her and how she shows up. I'm like, I'm good. Yep, 100%. Like, go do that. You know, so there's it's just this natural way of coming together, but just really being yourself, and then understanding that the other person, when they're the right person, it fits perfectly. If you're not being yourself, you're being a liar, and then you're presenting a construct that will get destroyed at some point. So it's super important to just be honest, expose, have the courage to be like, well, I don't know, she might think I'm crazy for this, but I guess if she does, she's not the one. Here it is. And she's like, oh, let's go with me. I'm like, oh shit, okay. I'm like,
Mhm.
guess we're moving forward. So that's
Mhm.
that's just been like consistent over and over, that like literally like we're built for each other, not that it's like we're just passive or rolling over. It's like, no, I actually like appreciate that when other people didn't or haven't or won't. So yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Mhm.
All right, you guys, we'll come back with part 2 at some point.